What is good, YouTube? Quinway coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about the playoff reactions of the Portland Trailblazers losing to the Denver Nuggets in six, but also the Los Angeles Lakers getting eliminated by the Phoenix Suns. And we're going to talk about these two series closing and two teams going on and getting ready to, play in the next round. First, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns versus the Lakers. Devin Booker came out super duper hot. He hit a lot of tough shots, and if you're going to make threes and mid ranges the way he did, there's not really no way you can guard him. You have to, crowd him. You have to force him to shoot it over the top, and I feel like they did. He had a little bit more space, but it's still a tough shot, especially off the dribble. And if they're falling like that, you gotta live with it. You can't get frustrated. You can't get mad. He's not gonna be able to make that all night until he did. I mean, he came out in kill mode. He seen that the Lakers was hobbled. He seen that they missed a couple shots in the beginning, and he was able to get Phoenix off to a good lead and a good start. And the Lakers just couldn't keep up after that. They still had LeBron, who never scored 30 points in this entire series. Never really had a dominant LeBron takes over and just carry his game. And that was unfortunate because a lot of people thought that LeBron was the best player in the world and that he will be able to win them at least a couple games and probably even force a game 7 and win it. A lot of people didn't believe that the Suns could win this series. A lot of people didn't believe that they'll win these last two games, and they blew them out virtually before the first and second quarter was over. If the first half, these games was over to me, and even though the Lakers sparked, they made a big run to cut it to 10, it still wasn't enough as they still lost by 13. And they showed that they had the heart of a champion. They just wasn't going to quit. They felt like they still can win the game and they're going to give it a try because they were still at the Staples Center and they have to give all their maximum effort. But if they would have just played like that from the beginning, they wouldn't even found themselves in a hole that they couldn't, get out of. But it happened. They actually are gone, and people kept giving LeBron the benefit of the doubt of how great of a player that he has been. He's never lost in the first round, but the Suns just overpowered them. That they really did, and Jay Crowder was making his shots. Mikal Bridges was making his shots. Chris Paul was making the right plays to get guys involved in easy shots, and they just had to knock them down, and they was. Phoenix was hungrier. They wanted it more, and they felt like the Lakers was hobbled. They felt like the Lakers wasn't themselves, and that's why I picked the Suns to win this series, and I felt like the injuries would catch up to them. They came into the playoffs hobbled. They came up to the playoffs not playing their best basketball, and I knew that they wouldn't be able to maintain. And once AD went down, that was it for the Lakers. LeBron needs another scorer. He needs another great defender. He needs another great finisher. And Anthony Davis is all of those things, and that's why they have fit well. And that's why when Anthony Davis was healthy, he was able to get 30 points per game, well, 34 points per game in back-to-back games, and they won those games. Once he went down, they didn't have the defensive force. They didn't have that another rebounder. They didn't have that other guy that can literally get his own shot and do it efficiently. And, that's what happens when you're building your team around two stars. They didn't really have that third guy because Schroeder wasn't it. Well, Shooter didn't have a great series. He had a great last game to a certain extent, numbers wise, but it didn't really impact the game the way it needed to because they was losing the entire game. But Schroeder is going to have to do more. He wanted more money. He wanted an opportunity to, get paid more money. But the way he played in the playoffs doesn't warrant the money. He was a no-show, and he wasn't the third best player for the Lakers or even the second best player when they needed him the most. And it's unfortunate, but you have to live with it. And whoever you go to war with, you just have to hope they live up to their part and do their part. And Taylor did the best he could, but he wasn't having the impact that they needed him to have as they want to re-sign him to. Marc Gasol was supposed to be the guy to help LeBron with the spacing. He didn't defend at a great level. He could knock down shots consistently when he did play. Drummond was supposed to be a huge pickup for them, an upgrade over Marc Gasol. He didn't even play today because his defense hasn't been great and he hasn't been able to be an offensive force for them. And that sucks because he was supposed to be, the guy that they needed to give them size, rebounding, and another big alongside AD so he doesn't have to play center. But he never really showed up or never really even had a great presence in this game. And that's going to damage Andre Drummond's career. As we look at a guy that got bought out, not too many options, and even when he played with a team with LeBron and other stars around him, he never really could have his foot and really couldn't dominate and never really looked good and comfortable in the regular season or even in the playoffs. So the Lakers do have a lot of problems that they're going to have to figure out because Kuzma didn't play great to me the series. Caruso defended Booker well, but he couldn't score the basketball that well either. And then when you look at Montrezl Harrell, he was supposed to be a good addition to this team. He wasn't the guy that they needed to be either in the playoffs. He basically was unplayable defensively, and even when he played, he wasn't great or amazing offensively either throughout this series, and that's unfortunate because he was supposed to be a big difference maker for them too, and that's why they picked him up from the Clippers. He left the Clippers. I'm just going to join the Lakers. They want me, and they're going to use me better, but he never really had the impact that he needed to have on both ends of the court against the Suns, and that's unfortunate, but that's reality for him. And then when you look at this Portland series, it sucks because you think that they have Damian Lillard. They have the best player in the series outside of Jokic, and those two guys are going to go to war. They're going to get their numbers. They're going to dominate, and that's exactly what happened. Both of them basically getting a double-double every game and 25 or more points throughout the series. And you also look at the fact that Portland should be able to have the better supporting cast. If not, they do with CJ, with Carmelo and Nurkic and Covington and Anthony Simons, and I can go on and on and on. And with Jamal Murray and Will Barton being out, you would think that the Denver Nuggets wouldn't be able to score enough. They wouldn't be able to keep up with the Blazers' three-point shooting and their ability to have Dame who can make them possible, who is Dame time, the guy that closes games even throughout this entire season. Dame was absolutely amazing, sealing games, stealing games, and just taking over games and willing the Portland Trailblazers to the W. You would never believe that they would lose to a team like Denver at home with the playoffs on the line. But they went back to Portland. They had the lead in the fourth quarter, couldn't score enough points, couldn't get enough shots to fall, and Denver kept coming. They kept hanging around, and they eventually was able to get the lead, and they was able to continue to build upon it and close out the Blazers at home with CJ and Dame healthy. And you wouldn't believe that would happen. Most people picked the Blazers to win, but Denver wanted them more. They defended more. They communicated on the defensive end, knowing when to rotate, knowing when to close space, and the Portland Trailblazers couldn't make their jumpers. They took a lot of jumpers, and they just wasn't falling consistently. And Denver just found ways to feast Jokic. He didn't play well in the first half. He was able to feast and do whatever he wanted in the second half, and they rolled him. He was able to even make a shot for himself or create for others. Michael Porter Jr. shot 50% from three. He launched some bad ones, but he also made a lot of open ones. Monte Morris was essential to this game, being able to hit the mid-range, being able to hit spot-up threes, being able to, probe the defense and attack and find guys and find Jokic a lot. And he was a difference maker in this game. Austin Rivers hit a big three that gave Denver, a 7-point lead, I believe, or 6 or 8 point lead, and that was basically over for Portland as they just couldn't put the ball in the basket enough, and Denver will walk away with the series, and it was just a crazy one. Denver just was able to score at will, and they was able to score crazy enough more than the Blazers, even though the Blazers on paper have more weapons. They didn't play like that. Denver got better shots. They got easier shots, and they created shots by playing off of each other. And Portland took a lot of tough ones, even Dame, and they just didn't fall. And Norman Powell looked like he was hungry. Carmelo looked ready. CJ looked ready, but they couldn't do it for 48 minutes, and they ended up finding themselves losing in the first round. This is a huge step backwards. They went from being a team that got out of the second round, or that they was always competitive, but the last 2 years they lost in five last year to the Lakers. They had a lot of injuries and stuff, so he gave them a pass. And this year they was healthier coming into the playoffs, and they only won 2 games against a Denver team that was at their worst in years, and they still was able to get past you and still able to outscore you every single game. And that just shouldn't happen if you have a team like Portland does, and it's going to be crazy to see where they go from now. Like I told you guys, they're further and further away, or even far away from being the actual championship team, and they showed that this year too. They got Dame as their best player and got a lot of shooters and scorers on this team, but they can't defend at a lot high level. They can't, contain other star players or even other role players in Denver. They played together, they moved the ball, and they was able to find holes in the defense, and they was able to make their shots, and Portland wasn't able to do it on the other end. Even though you can make an argument they have the better team on paper, they didn't play like that in the actual game. But other than that, let me know what you guys think. Is it crazy that the Lakers went home, or was it crazy that video game Dame went home at home? Also like the Lakers, and couldn't get over the hump and win the series. Whatever you think, let me know in the comment section below. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoy y'all weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of y'all day. And let me know who you more surprised with, the Lakers losing in 6, the Blazers losing in 6, or both of them going home at home. Whatever you think, let me know in the comment section below. I read every comment. I'm gone.